Hey, it's Ross Young, and today's video is going to be part one of a series of the relocation to Thailand. However, the relocation could be to any country. If you're thinking that after all of this nonsense clears up, I've got my shot, I'm now ready to travel again, and I really want to get out of the country I'm in, and I want to go live in another country, what do I have to do? So, kind of give you a little backstory from me. I have a Thai wife. We lived in America for 10 years together, and at about 3 years into it, we decided we want to move to Thailand. And so everything we did was always a step towards moving to Thailand over those next 7 years, which meant the first thing we had to do, get out of debt. So every amount of debt that I had, student loan, credit cards, car payment, had to be paid off. Pause. So you're wondering, what is a great way to pay off all your debt? The way I did it, and I recommend this for people, it's not for everybody, it was worked for me, was that I was always getting offers from credit card companies that said, here, we'll give you $10,000, $15,000 for a one-time 3% fee. So for $10,000, I paid $300 of interest. Well, to me, that's a great deal because that $300 of interest over 18 months is nothing. It's would equal to 18 or a 21% interest rate on a card, which was 2 months payments, and you're already at 3% of interest. Somewhere in there, forget about the numbering. But in any case, I was able to pay off debt so much faster because interest was no longer accruing month to month. It was just that one-time fee. And we did this over and over again with different amounts between Citibank, Capital One, paying off, Chase, Wells Fargo. I had a lot of debt at that time. And we just had probably about $35,000 in debt, which I was able to pay off in about 16 months because we didn't have any more interest on it. And I had a decent income, probably above normal, definitely above upper middle class. Certainly not the 1%, but I wasn't doing badly either. So that was step one. Had to pay off all debt. Finding ways to pay off the debt creatively, sometimes using other people's money to pay A while using other people B's money to do it, if people A are charging you way less money in interest to use their money. It was a very logical decision. So after we paid off all of our debt, we set a date and said, okay, we are going to move and we're going to do it on this date. And from that day forward, every decision we ever made for the next 7 years was based on, do we need it for the next 7 years? So when the TV broke, we didn't need a new TV. We figured out how to get that old one repaired. When the toaster oven broke, we learned to toast in the oven. When the hair dryer broke, my wife learned to use a towel better to dry her hair. Those are the kind of things we did to sacrifice to make our dream a reality. And as a very wise person told me, the difference between a dream and a plan is the number of steps to get to it. A dream has a no expiration date. A plan has a date and a time. Think about that. So what did we do? Well, during those 7 years, the dryer broke. I learned how to fix the dryer. Those little ball bearings to keep the drum spinning, one of them wore out. Watched a video on how to repair it, took it all apart, ordered the part, put it in myself. The thing looked like a little skateboard wheel. Very easy to do. So what other decisions did we make? Well, we stopped eating out. That was a big sacrifice for us because we really enjoyed eating out. We would go out at least once or twice a week. We had our our weekly routines. We liked going to Applebee's. We liked Fridays. There was another restaurant very close to us that had fantastic seafood. So those are some of the things we had to give up. One moment. Angle change. Ooh. So we did this for 7 years. Saved a grip of cash because we weren't spending money, but we definitely were saving money. And people say, how do you save money? That's how you do it. You sacrifice. You do the steps you need to do today to get to where you want to go tomorrow. So during that time, we were renting, but an opportunity came for us to purchase a house and get out of our rent. The house was in a depressed neighborhood of Los Angeles where the city offered us $30,000 cash to buy the house as help in the down payment of it that we did not have to pay back as long as we kept the house for 5 years. If we sold it prior to those 5 years, it was amortized of how much we had to pay back. We ended up keeping the house for 3 years, so we had to pay back 40% of the loan. So of the 30,000, we paid back, what was it paying? 15, 16, 16,000, which was still pretty good. So we got 14,000. We got paid to pay back 14,000. We got $16,000 gifted to us essentially. Not too shabby, if I'm doing my math right. But the house picked up value at that time by over $100,000 because we purchased that house at the very bottom of the market, right when the bubble started inflating again. So we got in an area that the city wanted us to move into, was giving money for it, and we were able to improve the value by doing a lot of work to it. We put in a new roof, put in a fence, we redid the backyard and turned an ugly home into a beautiful house because we saw the potential of the house, and that's why we bought it in the first place. So that was our only investment, and that we did that was against our rule of spending money. We took all the furniture that we had from our from our other house we were renting and moved it in there. And if any of you have ever moved, you know the furniture from the old house never fits properly in the new house. And this house was no exception. But we decided we're just going to deal with it because, again, temporary. We have a plan. We want to relocate to Thailand. It does not make sense to buy furniture that will only be resold at a loss in a couple years. So that is what we did. So for the next 2.5 years living in the house, we continued saving. We investigated everything we needed to know about moving to Thailand, what we could bring, what we should bring, what we should not bring, and then figuring out everything we own, what we need to do to get rid of it, how to get rid of it in the timing wise that would make the most sense. So you don't want to sell your bed while you're still living in it, but you may want to sell your stereo. You may want to sell some of the kitchen stuff you don't use. 6 months prior to moving, you start letting your pantry run empty. You start buying what you need for the week and not planning for 3 or 4 months. So you don't buy 4 cans of tuna fish, you're buying 1. And if you need another one next week, you buy another one next week. You buy the small jar of peanut butter. You're buying the smaller portions of powder, shampoo. Because you can't bring all these things with you as much as you'd like to, and you don't want to have to throw it away and lose money. So always moving to the smaller and smaller portions as we got closer. By the last 2 weeks, we were living off of frozen dinners because we had already gotten rid of all of our cooking supplies. We'd gotten rid of all of our spices. The refrigerator was almost bare. We were living off of food we had pre-prepared and had put in the freezer so we would be able to heat it up when we were ready for it. So we pretty much made our own TV dinners, essentially. That is how we saved money and prepared for moving to Thailand. That's not going to count all the next steps about listing our house, selling our house, planning our plane tickets to match the sale of the house, getting tickets for our 4 dogs at the time, what it was entailed to bring the 4 dogs to Thailand. And I have a video that will be next just on how you bring your pets from America to Thailand. Understand the information I'm giving will be 6 years old from when I did it, but from what I understand, things have not really changed. They may change post when Thailand reopens. So you may want to check with immigration one more time just to double check to make sure they're still intact. But you'll see that'll be the next one, and then I will talk about packing and everything else that goes into it. So stick around for the series about how you plan to get rid of everything you own and then get it all back again. And that is a story unto itself. This has been Ross and Rayank. Stick around. This is going to be a great little series of the Thailand relocation. And it's just going to be a talking head video, so if you enjoy my voice, you're going to love this.